Hi. It's spinning. I think I'm live. It says live. I'm so excited. Hi. My name is Melissa Fite Johnson. Okay, hold on. Something's happening. It says get started. I think I've already started. um, okay. I'm so excited to be part of this with you. Um, maybe I'll text and see if I'm really live. Oh, good, good. Aw. Okay, so this is a dream come true, literally. I know that's maybe a little cheesy, but it's true. I have been watching these since Maggie Smith did one forever ago, and so it means so much to be part of this. It's also a little strange because here I am in my living room alone, wearing pajamas. I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I'm not. I'm supposed to talk for a few minutes before I read, just to, allow people a chance to get here. Plus, it's not even quite 6 yet. So, thank you for coming. I'm so glad you're here. I bought these pajamas for tonight because I usually just wear like a t-shirt and flannels, and like I don't even remember where I bought them or when. It was a long, long time ago. And so only the best for an audience. I also put on makeup, which is silly because usually you take that off. I'm so excited that I almost did like a Twitter poll of should I wear makeup, and then I'm like, make a damn decision, Melissa, because I like forced myself to make a decision because basically earlier today I took requests. So I'm going to make a total request live joke. This is my version of TRL. Carson Daly has nothing on me, or maybe I've got nothing on him. I'm not sure. But anyway, my set list tonight was requested by people, and that was really kind because I've been doing a lot of these live readings lately, and it just feels like I'm constantly reading the exact same poems. So tonight I am going to read a couple of ones that I feel really comfortable with, but a lot of them will be ones I've never read before. So that should be really fun. Let's see here. I want to be sure to tell you that I'm going to be answering questions at the end of this. So if you have any questions for me, you're welcome to put them in the comment section. Apparently, eventually I'm going to be able to see questions, and so this is pretty great. All right, let's see here. I want to talk for just a couple more minutes, give people a chance to arrive. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, in case you don't know me, which is amazing. If you don't know me and you're watching this, that's so cool. My name is Melissa Fite Johnson. I live in Lawrence, Kansas, with my husband and our 3 dogs. I'm pretty lucky because it's like the greatest family in the world. My husband and dogs. It's a lot of love in here. I also live in my favorite town, which is Lawrence, Kansas. I wanted to live here forever, and now I do. It's just this like sweet, progressive, kind place, and they have an independent movie theater, so what else could you ever want? I'm a high school English teacher, which I love. I'll just get right into the like deep, heavy stuff since you're here with me. Thank you. I used to be really self-conscious about the fact that I'm a high school teacher. I do have a master's degree, but I don't have like an MFA. I don't have a PhD. I used to think that real poets had those things. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think I had to realize that I love what I do, and who can say that? I'm incredibly lucky, so I should just be lucky, if that makes sense, and stop wishing for something else or being envious of others. It's not fair to them or to me, especially since when we compare ourselves to others, I feel like we're only taking into account the good parts of their lives and the bad parts of our lives, and we're not being fully fair, you know. My friends who have MFAs and PhDs and tenure track positions, they had to move for those jobs. They had to work incredibly hard. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I was ever willing to do any of that. I love getting to live here where I want to live, and I absolutely love working with high school students. I just, we sometimes believe what society tells us, and so I used to believe I was a lesser poet because of it, and I don't believe that nonsense anymore. So anyway, I was supposed to talk for about 5 minutes until 6 o'clock, and that's where we are. It's there. So I wish I could make myself bigger. If you're just arriving, if you have questions for me as I read, please put them in the comments section. Oh, it means so much to me that somebody wrote one. I see it. So thank you. A little bit delayed, but once you type them, I will see them. So if you have any questions about me or anything I'm reading, just let me know. Okay, cool. Yes. Yes, all is okay. Thank you for checking in. I just wanted to make sure. All right, cool. I've never done Facebook Live before, except earlier today for like 2 minutes when I tried. So, all right, I'm gonna be reading from my newest book. It's called Green. Brand new press. It's Courtney LeBlanc's press, Riot in Your Throat. She's amazing. If any of you ever have a chance to work with her, you should jump at the chance. She's the kindest person in the entire world, so supportive. I can't say enough kind things about her, and the book I think is so beautiful. I'm really proud of it. And so I'm gonna start this reading, as I've started every reading, with the first poem in the book. It's about my father. It's called I'm Only Happy When It Rains, and it gets its title from the Garbage song. My song came on, and I jerked the volume up, stomped on the gas, sang along. My only comfort is the night gone black. Since his laryngectomy, my father couldn't talk. He studied me from the passenger seat. I had to chauffeur him around after his strokes. I wish the Toyota were a rocket shooting me out of this town. Pour your misery down on me. The song ended. I'd cried through the last chorus. I'm riding high upon a deep depression. I'm only happy when it rains. My father gestured to his paralyzed side, his right hand a claw resting in his lap, his right leg limp against the car door. He pointed to his chest, mouthed, "Me too." He struggled to sit up. Me too. So this title, Green, people have asked why. Earlier I talked about, envy, jealousy, but that's really kind of the smallest layer. There are a lot of happy poems from recent years of spending time outside in my, gardens with my husband. But I'd say before art, there's a lot more that's like about being young, green in that sense. There's an epigraph in this poem, or in this book, Alanis Morissette. I'm free, but I'm focused. I'm green, but I'm wise. And so, anyway, the next couple of poems are really about that. And really that first one was too, because my dad died a few weeks after that memory with him, where I was just such a jerk and I didn't appreciate him, and I felt resentful of things I shouldn't have felt resentful about. And anyway, I think I've grown a lot and since I was a teenager, but I guess we all have. And this one is about how I used to define love versus how I define love now. So it's called Free Willin' Bob Dylan and the Nameless Girl. And I'm not sure, it's a really famous album cover. It's the one where Bob Dylan is walking arm in arm with his then girlfriend. And that is what inspired this poem. I used to rifle through my mom's records, basement floor, until I found this one. This was love. Dylan in the thin jacket, trying not to look cold. The girl bundled in a trench pressed against him. In his memoir, erotic, fair-skinned, golden-haired, the air suddenly filled with banana leaves. The girl in the photo, 17, would be Dylan's girlfriend for 3 years. She smiles but shivers. Dylan doesn't smile or hold her hand. He considers only the snow-covered street. She died at 67, lung cancer, married to Enzo Bartoccioli, 44 years. I search online, Bartoccioli and Suze Rotolo, try to find their photos. Clearly this was love, but she's trapped in the 60s at 17. She saunters on Dylan's arm, lights a cigarette, sprawls across their bed. In her memoir, Dylan was an elephant in the room of my life. I was a string on his guitar. So yeah, I think I used to just have this very romantic idea of love, inspired by pop culture, inspired by romantic comedies and album covers. And I was in some bad relationships, largely because of that. And so this next one is about that. So it's called 19. My boyfriend told me which Maxim spreads he jerked off to. So I dawdled at work, alphabetizing CDs, impersonating our coworker, the male model, teaching the staff how to jazz square in the parking lot. I could have stayed forever at that record store, vouching for Exile and Guyville and scanning barcode, 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 the beeps blocking out whatever he'd said that day. Once, he urged me into a body toning class where I met a girl missing a hand. She duct taped her almost fist to a free weight when it was time to work our biceps. I wondered if she had a boyfriend and what he must say to her. I feel like I've read a few sad ones in a row, and that's fine and all, but I should say that some people did request happy poems. Again, if you are just joining us, I'm calling this TRL, Total Request Live, because I keep reading the same poems and I needed help. So I asked people to request poems, which made me feel a little like Bruce Springsteen, which is okay. But anyway, somebody requested this one, which is about how I met my husband. So it is called Karaoke Night, JB's Bar and Grill. Everything heightened the night we met. He didn't sing, he shouted. Didn't dance, convulsed. If I include verve pipe, could you guess the year? When I was young, I knew everything. Instead of listening, I decoded. His voice, the voice that rouses me now. He gripped the microphone's head, that tiny disco ball. In a few years, he'd stopped smoking, but that night, a flame in his hand. My mouth moved with his. After, the high-top table, 2 empty bottles. Only photo in his wallet, his grandfather, whose vintage button-down he was wearing. Vertical patterns like rows of stamps. I love Dawson's Creek, I warned. Better for him to know me. His Creed joke. Some said he resembled Scott Stapp. Dark hair like a hood, but otherwise I didn't see it. He tipped his head back, arms wide open. How about now? Had I ever laughed so hard? No. My water, a small river, making its way to him. He helped me mop the spill. So yeah, things definitely, got better. And as I said earlier, my husband is the absolute best. And with him, we have this small family, just us and our dogs. We've decided not to have children, which a lot of people have opinions on, maybe because we live in the Midwest and we're teachers. It's just not what most people do around here. So people are always very interested in our choices and they make comments to us. But I like to say that I once tried to help people become parents. I actually donated my eggs to my favorite cousin, and it didn't end up working out. We were told that it might not, but anyway, it was a wonderful experience, even though it didn't work out. I mean, heartbreaking in the end, but it brought my cousin and me closer together, and it gave me this poem. So it's called Donating My Eggs. In the fertility clinic waiting room, I'm the youngest by 10 years. Except for a toddler, my cousin smiles at wistfully. He wears cowboy boots and has a matching hat his mother won't let him put on indoors. He says he's not a real cowboy without it. Before my ultrasound, the boy's mother says, all it takes is one good egg. My cousin, 41 and beautiful, so skinny I can't imagine her with a curved silhouette by Christmas, doesn't answer. Later, on the car ride home, she says, if he were my son, he could wear that hat to funerals. I'm just realizing that I'm about to turn 40. I wrote this poem about when I was 28. So there's a lot of time traveling in this book. There's a lot of writing about myself at 16 or 19, even imagining myself as an old woman. But I just think it's interesting to note just how many years the poems themselves span as I wrote them. Anyway, I think we're every version of ourselves we've ever been, and every version of ourselves we'll ever be. And that's probably a good transition into my next poem. I'm just going to read two more for you. Thank you so much. This one's my longest poem, though, so don't get too excited. This was requested. Of course, they all were, TRL. But this one is called The Fragile Domestic, and it is a sectioned poem, and there are basically three storylines here. So in one storyline, it's about when I was young, my mom she did not really like me to go over to this neighbor girl's house. She just had a bad feeling about them. And she was right, as it turns out. So you'll find out why she was right in the poem. And then the second, I guess, storyline is my mother and me and our complicated relationship. Starting with how my mom had an idea of what she wanted me to look like before I was even born. So, sorry, I'm getting comments. That makes me happy. So yes, this one is about my mother and me. And then the third storyline is about me at a baby shower. And I feel like I'm always out of place at those because I'm usually the only person there not planning on becoming a mother. And so it's very strange. And anyway, it all comes together called The Fragile Domestic. We played house in her basement. As mother, Ellie crouched behind the plastic oven. As father, I moved to kiss her forehead. She frowned. You're doing it wrong. My mother cut the little girl from the magazine, placed the picture in her hope chest years before she met my father. I was a kid when she showed me the girl, blonde, blue-eyed, like me, like looking in a mirror. At my friend's shower, she was the last one pregnant except me. I listened to their stories over cake and punch. I only looked like that girl for a while, until one day I didn't. That year, Ellie's father visited the grocery store where her mother worked. She steered him into the storage room, where he shot her dead, then himself. My mother woke early to grade elementary cursive. Her hand tidied wild loops, taming a word, then another, then a sentence. She clenched each child's invisible fist. One decided against the tub, smoothing a tarp instead over her marriage bed, saying she needed to feel grounded. One rubbed her belly as she spoke, the 6-year-old beside her a phantom limb. The picture treasured in the chest, she forced me to speak an octave higher, scolded me for slipping into my own voice. I stopped talking much. I felt her ventriloquist hand on the small of my back. We switched. As father, Ellie hoisted a plate over her head, slammed it to the floor. As mother, I poured air from plastic eggs into a red mixing bowl. Okay, I have just one more poem, so I would like to say again that if anybody out there, oh my gosh, I just started scrolling down and now I see there are a million comments. I thought there were only 2. That's so rad. You guys are the best. Thank you. I don't know how this works, but this is wonderful. And look, okay, some shout outs. Katie Manning said, I still love donating my eggs. That poem originally appeared in Whale Road Review, which is amazing. And Katie guessed 1997, which is probably right, except we actually met in 2003. So Verve Pipe was kind of an older guess. You know what? I'm going to save the answering of questions until later. So if you have any questions for me, please do type those in. Now I know how to access them and I will see them. And I'm going to read the last requested poem, which is a happy one. And it's also about a neighbor, but it's just a much happier neighbor poem than the last one where, you know, murder, suicide. I mean, it's got to go up after that, right? So anyway, this one is called Abecedarian for my neighbor, whose name I still don't know. A garden born beyond my window, not my backyard, my neighbor's. Before coronavirus, before isolation, she and I didn't acknowledge each other. Every night, my dogs burst from my back door, and she sat outside with a glass of wine, listening to something. I'd hush to spy, but could never tell. I imagined long-distance love, her voice joined with his, maybe Rosetta Stone, too low to know what language, no wave, no hello. Little pots line the wooden deck, matching sprigs of green. A tarp covers nothing for now. She tells me, you're the only person I've seen in days. Plantings like praying, both quests for communion. We receive stale wafers on our shining tongues, gather tomatoes fallen off the vine too soon. I'm an unbeliever who only pulls weeds, puts voids in the ground instead of life. But witness this small miracle. She was X in her yard. I was Y in mine. We're still rooted in these zones, but now our voices soar over the fence. Okay. Thank you so much. That's the reading portion. And now I am just hanging out with you, talking. Again, if you have questions, apparently there's a delay, so it might take me a moment to see your question. Also, there's a delay in my brain, so it might take me a moment to realize I have to scroll down to see the question. But anyway, I'm going to look through and see if there are any yet, and I will talk about them. So, yay, little shout outs too. My friends are here. Leah's here and Ruth is here. Thank you so much. Yeah, Liz Fair forever, right? This is awesome. All right, so yes, I think I started to answer the question of 1997. Is that when that was? But yeah, we were singing old songs. I don't know why. Mark and I started, my husband, we started singing karaoke together shortly after we got together. And it was a lot of Aerosmith, you know, a lot of Bon Jovi. Sometimes we would do Bohemian Rhapsody. So I guess we were never really exactly in the right year. But let's see here. Oh, thank you. Oh, I like that. The light in the window behind me is like a gateway into creation itself. That's beautiful. Yeah, it kind of doesn't look like Kansas, does it? It's it's actually, Kansas is quite lovely in many ways, but it's true. And it's funny, I have a chapbook called A Crooked Door Cut into the Sky, and it's like a portal into some imagined afterlife. I'm not religious, but it's like my version where basically I watch Wheel of Fortune on a couch with my dad, which is like my version of utopia, I guess. But anyway, that maybe that's kind of like that crooked door. I love that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're here too, Annie. That's so lovely. Katie, that's hilarious. I love it. Oh, that's so nice. Look at that. I mentioned my chat book. There it is. Wow. Okay. For the question section, fun. Hi, Elizabeth. Um, Start going to poetry readings. What made me decide to write poetry as opposed to any other style of writing? And do I participate in other creative writing? Thank you. This is so wild. Okay, so I have a great answer to this, I think, because I took intro to creative writing when I was in college, my freshman year, from my mentor. She wasn't yet, but now she is. Her name's Laura Lee Washburn. She's amazing. And I took creative writing because I was interested in the fiction part of class, and I thought I'd suffer through the poetry. I never really liked poetry in high school. I wasn't into it at all. But Laura is a poet. And so I don't know. She won me to her side, I guess. Also really only ever read poems that were hundreds of years old, strict rhyme and meter. I appreciate that kind of poetry now, but that certainly wasn't what was going to make me fall in love with it originally, you know? And so this was my first time reading poems that kind of felt like short stories, you know, narrative poems, free verse, contemporary, poets like Sharon Olds, who's my very favorite to this day, Lucille Clifton, David Lee, just all kinds of poets who are writing in these vibrant, interesting voices. And honestly, I think laziness went out for me as well. I don't really have the patience to write an entire short story. I can't even imagine what it's like to write a novel, let alone, you know, but poems, there was something about that felt very bite-sized and manageable. And even though I returned to them again and again and, you know, revised them a million times, still, there's something really satisfying about being able to sit down and write something complete. So thank you for that wonderful question. Oh man, sorry if there are tech issues. It might be me. I don't really know what I'm doing. Do I have a favorite poem to teach? What a great question. The first one that popped into my head was Danez Smith's Dinosaurs in the Hood. My students often say that that's the poem that made them realize, oh, poetry is not necessarily what I think, is it? And we watch them perform it, and it gets my students really excited. Another answer, I mentioned David Lee earlier, Loading a Boar, which might be one of my very favorite poems ever. That one's fun because it curses, and you know, he's a pig farmer and he's writing about staying true to yourself, and I think a lot of students find that exciting too. They're like, oh, we don't have to sound a certain way. We don't have to sound like a professor or like we're hundreds of years old. We can just sound like ourselves, whatever that is. And so it's pretty exciting. Oh, awesome. Okay, another question. Thank you, everybody. This is so fun. Okay. I think I'm only supposed to do a few, so I'm gonna just do a few more. This is amazing. I write often of my youth in green. What have I discovered about myself that I might not have otherwise if I hadn't written about the past? Oh my gosh, great question. Thank you, Ruth. I have discovered so many things by writing. I think writing is incredibly important, like even if you're not a poet. I think journaling is something that I recommend to almost anyone. And I've journaled since I was 12, and I've only written poems since I was, I think, 19. Maybe 20, anyway, doesn't matter. But I feel like by actively questioning why I do what I do, or, you know, who has caused me pain or who I've caused pain to, I think asking those questions helps me kind of sort it all out, make peace with things. I really think, like at the very beginning, for those of you who were here, I was talking about how I used to really compare myself to other people. I don't think I do that anymore. Not very much anyway. I'm pretty happy with who I am. It took a long time to get there, and I think writing really helped. That's such a good question. I think I also figured some things out. Like I had an epiphany. That first poem I read about my dad, singing in the car with my dad, I really beat myself up for a long time. I thought I was just an asshole to my dad before he died, because I was sad, you know, that I lost him essentially. He had 2 strokes when I was 6, and I was like, I think I lost him, and I couldn't talk to him anymore. It took me 20 minutes to figure out he wanted yogurt, so we weren't close, you know. How can you be close to someone you can't communicate with? And so I think writing about it made me have a lot more compassion for my younger self and realize that I was doing the best I could. I was a kid, you know, and I don't think he blamed me like I blamed myself. So that's maybe the most important thing that I ever realized by writing. On a much lighter note, the next question I'm saying is fave karaoke song or song I've always wanted to sing. So I always say that I don't have a great voice. I have to sing catchy songs, not beautiful songs. So no Whitney Houston for me. So I like to do, I really do love You Oughta Know by Alanis, of course. I love Joan Jett. I Hate Myself for Loving You. That's a really good one. I don't know about one I've always wanted to sing. I'll have to think on that. I want to sing a duet with you someday. Maybe that's my answer. How has the pandemic and all its strictures changed the way I work, read, and make sense of my place in the writing community? Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm supposed to finish up, so I'm going to just answer like 2 more real quick. Thank you again. This is amazing. So here's how the pandemic changed me. I just started writing all the time, and I became a lot less concerned with the outside world. I turned inward, and I wrote constantly. My friend Erin Adair Hodges, who's amazing and wonderful, I kind of hired her to edit what became Green, and she gave me such great feedback, and so I just went into like a revising coma almost, and I just worked on it, and it became my entire purpose. And the fact that it also got published during the pandemic, I'd been sending out previous versions of this book for years, and I'm kind of glad it didn't get published before now, because I think it's its very best version now. I'm proud of it. So thank you. What advice would I give to a writer in their 20s, almost finishing school, especially about creative writing? Okay, not that I'm any expert, but here's what I have to say about that. I became a high school teacher that was very stable. I'm not saying you have to do that or anything like that, but I will say if you want to do the MFA, PhD, tenure track position route, that means being willing to move to whatever programs and jobs take you. It means just acknowledging that it's a very hard job to get. And for me, I used to be sort of sad I didn't take that route. Now I'm weirdly grateful. I really love getting to live in my favorite town and teach high school kids. And so I think that for me, it's like find something that you can do to make money that you'll enjoy, that maybe keeps poetry in your life. I try to treat writing as my full-time job in the summers, which is amazing. So I don't know if that helps, but just you have to make money. I've heard being an accountant is a good idea, because it's only like serious work for 4 months, and then you can write the rest of the year. So I don't really have a project in process that I'm working on now. I'm just trying to generate work and see what's next, and be really open to, you know, I'm taking little classes here and there, and I'm trying to just generate as much work as I much about what's next. But thank you. That is an awesome question too. And congrats and good luck, Elizabeth. That's wonderful. And thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Oh, thank you. My pronouns are she, her. Thank you very much for asking. And I actually got through all the questions. Thank you very much. I'm going to end this video, and it means so much that you were all here with me. Your comments made me feel like I wasn't alone in my living room. So thank you again. Taylor Swift heart hands. All right. Bye.